Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Playing World of Tanks. I'm AJ, and today we'll be looking at a game that I had in my IS7, which is the Russian Tier 10 Heavy Tank. Now the map we are playing on is Mines, and in Mines, the most important thing to capture or sort of like control the entirety of the map is the hill, because it gives you vantage points in all directions to shoot at, and you can easily control any flank because of it. Winning or losing on this map can entirely come down to which team actually controls the hill to begin with. And our team just did not have enough mediums to contest the hill. At first I was gonna go towards it and help my team out, but I kind of realized there's just too many tanks in that corner, and there's absolutely no reason to sort of like be another tank in there with them. So I decided to take my IS7 towards the 09 line, where I thought I would be much more of an impact as far as the game is concerned. Now on that flank we have an E100, and he's gonna put shots in the IS7, which also show the enemy IS7 on our flank. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna whittle down whatever enemies show up in front of me. There's an RU, I think there was an IS3, and another tank, I think the T-34. So basically when you are trading shots, you don't want to be trading shots with like tier 8s, and the reason for that is you're a tier 10. Any little health that you lose to your tier 8 is basically you're not trading efficiently. You rather not lose health to tier 8, you rather lose health to a tier 10, and exchange your health in that way, just because tier 10s make much more of an impact in a tier 10 game. So a tier 8, if he shaves health off of you, basically you are in a losing trade at that situation. And in the IS7 has a pike nose, which is, if you're familiar with Russian tanks, you should be familiar with the pike nose by now, especially this line, since the IS3, the T10, and the IS7 all get a pike nose, and the best way to angle a pike nose is just to not angle it at all. So whichever enemy is facing you, you want to be facing them frontally. And the other thing you can always do is with the pike nose, and especially with the IS7 in particular, is that you can actually go face hug whatever your opponent is, and it's a very effective tactic in the IS7 as opposed to some other heavy tanks. Now, since I don't really have any more shots on the IS7 that was in front of me, I decided to take out the IS3 and the T-34. And the thing being is that these two tanks still have guns that can easily pen me and do damage, so I don't want to be around and actually give them shots. I do take a shot from the IS3, and that was rather unfortunate. I'd rather not have done that, but I go around and make sure that I shave his health off again, just because he's taken such a long time to sort of fire on me, and our reloads are roughly the same, that I could have put one more shot easily into him. Also, seeing that the T-34 had backed off sort of like helped me make that decision. Now the IS-3 is like almost locked into like killing the T-32 and the E-100 on my flank, so that gives me a rather easy opportunity to pick him off. Now this is what I was talking about, controlling the hill. Our T-62A literally takes their T-62A, sorry, literally kills the E-100 over here on the flank with me, and it's rather unfortunate, but there's nothing you can do about it. One thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration when playing World of Tanks is map control is terribly important. And the reason for that is if you don't control a map, or you don't control a huge portion of the map, the enemies can surround you and shoot you in your flanks, where generally most tanks have very thin armor. And this map is no different. Mines, the hill is basically, that's why hill is sort of like the most important centerpiece in the entire strategy to sort of like win this map. At this point, I have no intention of pushing into the enemy's flank. Because the reason is there's always TDs camping in the background, and I really didn't want to lose all my hit points to things I couldn't even spot, and let alone do anything about. So what I do is I decide to go back and help my AMX-50B with the hill. And at this point I knew the E3 was on my flank, but I was hoping that some of our TDs in the corner on the forward line would actually apply some kind of pressure to them. Unfortunately for me, they just didn't. They were playing really passively, and that just made my job infinitely more difficult. And you will see in a little bit. The other reason the hill is just so important is that from the hill, if he had a tank, he could have shot the E3 very easily. And at this point, I'm kind of like caught between a rock and a hard place. Now what I decided to do is, I know the E3 still has shots on me, so instead of like sticking around, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move forward and try to put some kind of not vegetation per se, but like some kind of cover between me and the E3 so he can't shoot me effectively. I managed to track the T-54 in front of me, and I know the T-62A has come around to shoot in my side. I just decided not to engage the 62A at this point. I fire a shot at the T-62A, but it doesn't pen him. Now what I do is I use the dead tanks as cover, so they are sort of like shielding my tank from the T-62A and the T-54 on my flank. Now at this point I load APCR. Now one thing you need to know about the T-62A, it has really good turret armor, but it's not impenetrable. I basically go straight through the T-62A's frontal turret armor because APCR rounds have 313 penetration, and that's its weakest point. The T-62A has only 240 turret armor, so I just went straight through that tank's armor. Now at this point, I was hoping that that some of my teammates would actually take care of some of the other tanks that were around me, and that sort of like comes true. I bounced another E3 shot, and now I know that the E3 has been moving up. So I reversed my side into the area because I want to face my armor frontally towards the E3. I put one other APCR round straight to the T-62A's turret, and which takes him out of the game. And I tell my teammates to go do something about the E3 just because I just can't. He's at that range, penning an E3 with an IS7 gun is next to impossible, because the only weak spot he has is his lower plate, and I was not going to hit that effectively. I was hoping at this point the E3 turns a little more so I would have a clear shot at his side. I hold my shot hoping that he does that, you know, and at this point, like, I was just thinking maybe I should just fire. He starts turning, I fire, but it wasn't at a good angle, so I just bounced, unfortunately. Now I know that the 50B is over there, and he will be able to look after the E3, especially since he's gotten around him to begin with. I stay in my place just because I don't want to be RD'd again, so I'm just, you know, trying to make sure that I'm not spotted, and then I'm gonna go move out and do something. At this point, once the E3 is taken care of, I leave the flank. And actually, the funny thing about this entire game is the FE207 on the enemy team could have killed me multiple times if he had just HE loaded. Instead, for some reason, he was firing AP rounds, and those AP rounds actually kept on bouncing off my turret and off my frontal armor. So I guess it was a good thing. I guess, like, he was like so confident in his AP rounds that I'd managed to just shrug them off. But anyways, this game is over now. It's just cleanup duty. There's a waffle here who I don't get to shoot, but as I move forward, I spot the FE207, and I managed to take him out instead. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like and subscribe, and stick around for post-game results. I'm gonna be making them sort of like a part of the videos from now on, and hopefully I'll see you on the next episode of Playing World of Tanks.
Vehicle destroyed.